it's me, Seanie. I'm back for you guys again. We're going to have a great season coming up this next season, hopefully. This recap right here is just a refresher recap for the incident episode back in Season 5. And again, the only purpose of this video is just to get you guys reminded of what happened in case you haven't seen the episode in a while, since the episode starts in a few days. And I know this episode that I'm recapping, the incident, aired a while ago, so most of this information might be common knowledge to you guys, but hopefully, and I think there will be a lot of stuff that you guys don't know about in this video, hopefully. And now the focus of this recap is not going to be so much on the actual recap. I'm going to try to make it into one video, or at least on YouTube, 3 or 4 parts. But it's going to be more focused on the secrets, the theories, the ideas, mostly on all the confusing parts that happened in this episode. But there will be some recaps, so get you guys refreshed again. Now, again, unfortunately, I have to put these videos on YouTube, at least for now, into 3 or 4 parts. So I'm going to be doing the Fast Reflex Award still, but I'm going to be changing it up a little bit. Instead of putting it in that particular video when the fast images pop up, you're going to be writing them in the very last video. So say there's 3 parts to this video, write it in the 3rd of 3 parts. Now, what fast images are, Fast Reflex Awards, if you don't know, it'll be fast images that pop up, kind of like this one. You write what it is, when it happens in the comment section, again in the last video, and the first 10 people that do that correctly get mentioned in the next recap. And my last announcement before this video starts is that on my forums, lostforums.net, which I'll post over there in the link, I have a thread going about how you guys can be in a video recap, and it would help me out a lot too, since I said earlier I have to put these videos into 2, 3, 4 parts, depending on the length. I want to have it so you guys can be in it as pictures of you guys holding a sign or piece of paper that says something like Seanie B, Lost Recaps, anything like that. Check the link out over there, and I'd like it a lot. Thanks. Okay then, here we go. The first 4 minutes of this episode is filled with so much information, it's going to take a while to dissect. So we start off in an Egyptian stone room sometime in the 1800s, where there's a man who's in an old white shirt and he's spinning thread for a tapestry. He's weaving and he's using a knife as a beater. And we find out in just a little bit that this man is actually Jacob. And the white shirt's important, and I'll talk to you guys about it in just a little bit. But let's first talk about this tapestry for a while. At the beginning of the episode, we see what it's just the beginning of, and it's just the top of it. And at the very end, we see the finished product, like here. I'll talk about the finished product, though, now. As we can see here, there's the Eye of Horus in between outstretched wings, and what appears to be 17 long arm-like things, almost like sun rays. The Eye of Horus is an ancient Egyptian symbol. It signifies protection and royal power from deities. Across the top here, there's a quote in Greek, which is actually from Homer's Odyssey, and it translates to, "May the gods grant thee all that thy heart desires." It's line 180 of Book 6 if you own the Odyssey and want to check it out. Then we see some more Greek in the middle of the tapestry, also from the Odyssey, which translates to, "May the gods grant thee happiness." The third and last Greek phrase is at the bottom, and this time it's not from the Odyssey, but actually from Plato, and it translates to, "Only the dead have seen the end of war," probably a clue to the upcoming war that we'll see in Season 6. So you might be wondering why all these Odyssey quotes. Well, we gotta look at it in context, because the part in the Odyssey where all these phrases are found is the part where Odysseus washes up on shore of an island with nothing. I mean, he's even naked, and Nausicaa provides him with food and clothing, and ultimately it's from this island that he returns to Ithaca. As we've seen in Lost before, there's a lot of other references to the Odyssey, and I think a lot can be read from the connections to the Odyssey, at least its themes. Maybe Jacob, representing Odysseus, wishes good fortune to the island, or Nausicaa. And there's also a lot of connections between Desmond and Odysseus and their wives, Penny/Penelope. We also see different hieroglyphics around this tapestry, like the ones here and here at the tips of the wings, which translate to lords or masters, maybe signifying, I don't know, Jacob and his nemesis. These are also the exact same ones that we found on the Cerberus vent chamber. Remember the pillars where we see the smoke monster a few episodes ago. There's also 3 different clumps of hieroglyphics near the bottom here, which translate to the 3 Egyptian seasons, which are inundation, winter, and summer. Now the most interesting part of this tapestry is the bottom, especially connected to Jacob's cabin. We can see at the bottom, the left here, it's ripped off, Later in the episode, when Ilana and her crew go inside Jacob's empty cabin, we see a small scrap of cloth held to the wall with a knife. This is the ripped off piece from the tapestry, and it has a picture of Taoret on it. I think Jacob left this piece as a note, obviously telling Ilana and anyone else where he could be found, but I'll talk more about this later. So the tapestry has ships sailing to the Taoret picture, at least before it was ripped, maybe signifying the black rock going to the island. And as far as the Egyptian pictures go, an idea is that it could be some sort of progression from the bottom of the tapestry to the top. So the people arrive on the island, they learn to live off of it, they become closer to it, and finally ascend to the top level with the eye. Who knows? Also, the Eye of Horus is touching 5 out of 9 people in the top row, just like we later see Jacob touched Kate, Sawyer, Jack, Hurley, and Saeed. Maybe the eye is Jacob himself. In a few minutes, we see the man go outside, showing that he was in the four-toed statue, which the producers confirmed was Taoret, like I talked about in my other recaps, who was the Egyptian goddess of fertility and childbirth, but she was also the demon wife of Apep, the god of evil. So like I said, the man's Jacob. He goes outside and another man in black sits down by him. We see so many white and black themes in the show, so we should know before even hearing them speak who's good and who's bad. We still don't know the man in black's name, but some nicknames have been given so far, like Jacob's nemesis, Flock, like for fake and lock, which we'll see at the end. Unlock, Man in Black, Samuel, which was the character's initial casting call, and finally Esau, who is in the Bible and was Jacob's brother, and I'll talk a lot more about that particular nickname at the end of this video. So the man in black asks Jacob how the ship found the island and accuses Jacob of having brought it there. And he says that one day he's going to find a loophole which will finally allow him to kill Jacob. Jacob seems like he doesn't care at all and promises in return, "Well, when you do, I'll be right here," like a bamf. So now we know Jacob brings people to the island, and since we know people aren't supposed to be able to find the island, at least that easily, other people that have been on the island in the past, like the Dharma Initiative, and other people even farther in the past, have been brought there by Jacob. After all, Eloise Hawking said a very clever fellow built the pendulum that allowed the Dharma Initiative to locate the island, and as that man who built it is still unnamed, it could be Jacob. And during this conversation with Jacob's nemesis, it seems like Jacob throughout history has been trying to find a specific group of people to bring to the island. And again, I'll talk a lot more about Jacob's nemesis at the end of this video, and also the conversation between Jacob and the nemesis here. Okay, now we start at the first flashback with a young Kate, and I'll talk about all the flashbacks right one after another, since they all have the same outcome, even though they are spread out throughout this whole episode. So Kate tries to steal a lunchbox in the late 80s as a kid. The store owner catches her, but Jacob comes in and saves the day, still looking the same over 100 years later, and he pays the clerk for the box. She promises to never steal again, and he touches her on the nose. Also, we can see 23 is on the license plate outside. Next, we go to Little Sawyer in 1976 when he's at his parents' funeral, and he's writing his letter to the real Sawyer. His pen runs out of ink. Jacob just happens to be around the neighborhood, and he grazes Sawyer's hand with his own as he gives him a new pen. Sawyer's uncle reads the letter and tells him to move on already. Tough uncle. In 2005, Saeed and Nadia are together. Nadia goes off into the street to look for her sunglasses. Jacob strolls by and tells Saeed that he's lost and asks for directions. Nadia gets owned by this car, which is driven by Ishmael Bakir. If you remember, it's the guy who Saeed later shoots. Jacob touches Saeed's shoulder, and Saeed rushes over to Nadia. In 2000, we see Jacob reading a book titled Everything That Rises Must Converge. More on that in a sec. We see Locke fall down from the building in the background. Remember from his dad when he pushed him through the window. Jacob knows it's going to happen. He walks over there and he touches Locke, who appears to be dead. Right when he touches him, Locke awakens, and Jacob tells him that everything will be alright and that he's sorry this has happened to him. Back to the book, Everything That Rises Must Converge. The novel's about different aspects of how things around the characters and in general take place. We saw Jacob and his rival at the beginning talking exactly about this. The book is also about flawed characters who sometimes go through some spiritual growth or change and meet a violent, shocking end. Very similar to the events that happen on Lost. The book's title can also literally correlate to Locke here. John Locke, who we see is literally risen on a high floor of a tall building and is now converging with the ground.